GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Folks, prices may be chopping, but bullish news keeps flooding in. We've got BlackRock saying sovereign wealth funds are buying and not for a trade. We're going risk on in 2026. The question is, what does that mean exactly? We're going to break it down on today's show. I'm your host, Tyler D. We've got Logan in the house one more day this week. Logie, GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Yeah, doing a little less well with prices. Broke my streak of 2 days in a row with some, more than marginal greens. But otherwise, yeah, I'm doing okay. Fighting off a little bit of congestion here, so a little nasally, but otherwise I'm doing okay.
Well, maybe the cure is to zoom out a little bit, Logie, and drink in some of these bullish headlines that I'm going to force feed you and all of our listeners here on today's show. No Farouk, he's still out in the Middle East. I don't know exactly where he is. He's been traveling, but he broke some news about MYRIAD pools live during a conference on stage this morning. So I think he's going to join us tomorrow. So we'll get fully caught up on MYRIAD pools and everything he's been doing out east. And then no Mando today, but shout out to YEET. I don't know if folks saw this. $1 billion in lifetime volume. And they haven't even been around that long. So huge day for YEET. Happy for all of them. And excited for us to get back to our YEET giveaways here soon as well. Folks, what are we talking about on today's show? We're going to go through the market report, talk this price action. Looks like we're selling off a little bit. Binance says Q1 is going to be a bull market. BlackRock says sovereign funds are buying, and they published their 2026 global outlook. They're buying as well. They're going risk on. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into the synthetics competition. Quick check-in on the leaderboard. What I'm trading is like I made a good trade, but I didn't close it. We'll talk about that and what to do now. We'll get into Coinbase pilots. Maybe a little bit of this Shift CZ gold versus Bitcoin debate. If you have a chance, Solana Mobile released their SKR token, tokenomics, XCopy bubbles, and a bit more. Before we dive into it, shout out to our partners. First up, EigenCloud, built on EigenLayer security, extends crypto-grade verifiability to any application, from AI agents to prediction markets to on-chain games. Build anything, verify everything. And Wallet Connect powers billions in monthly volume across wallets, apps, users, and institutions. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto is recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. All right, well, let's get into it. I will do my best Mando impression again here today and walk us through a bit of a market report. Let's check in, see how we're doing. Okay, so Bitcoin had briefly dipped below 92 right ahead of the show. Looks like we're rebounding a bit. So Bitcoin 92,160, down 0.5%, 0.7% on the day. ETH has been leading the way. So ETH has been the story. It's up 1.7% on the day, 3155. It's flirting with 3,200. I think the ETH Bitcoin ratio, I'm seeing some folks on the timeline saying it looks like it might be ready to break out. Tom Lee is certainly doing his part with all the cash on hand he has. I also saw the headline over from Decrypt that the ETH whales have been stepping in and buying heavy as well. So maybe check that out. So there's a little bit of an institutional buy headed for ETH, it seems right now. Solana up 0.5%, outpacing Bitcoin, underpacing ETH. So the ETH trade seems to be the one. As for top movers, Arrow, Curve, MYX, Tau, Zcash. Zcash has been pretty volatile, back around 350 or so. I think I saw it hit like 365. We'll talk about that more in the trading section of the show.
Arrow got a Robinhood listing. Did I get a notification about that this morning?
I didn't see that. That's big for Arrow. One of the more fundamental base DeFi plays out there. How has Arrow held up during this market? Let's check out. All right. So you could have bought it in April. So we're still 140% above the April lows. I think you call that a win in this market, though it is down about 50% from local summer highs. But
man, it's tough. Keep thinking these like DeFi-esque, I mean, of course, this is clearly DeFi, but these tokens are substantive. We've used that word a couple times this week.
Mm.
And the price is just it's not following.
Yeah. A broken record there.
Yeah, exactly.
Logie. Not a whole lot else to say. Stocks, looks like stocks are basically flat here today. I don't think there's really a whole lot of macro news. There were some layoff numbers that came in, topping 1.1 million. I think anyone who's been following, that's not a huge surprise, though it may be a little shocking to see the number aggregated there. I think a couple of things that jumped out to me. So Binance, their CEO, or the head of research rather, Alice Liu, we're going to see a market comeback in Q1 2026. February and March will be a bull market again, based on a combination of macro indicators. So a bit of an interesting take. Not fairly specific. Like they're not saying Santa rally. They're not saying next year is going to be good. They're saying February, March, the bull market will resume. Not sure what that means for December and January. Like, I guess maybe should we be nervous about what the next 8 weeks has in store for us based on Alice's comments? I actually I saw that the top level, like, oh, bull market's coming. I actually didn't read between the lines here. So now I'm actually a little nervous live. Did you see this one, Logie? Any reactions?
Nothing specific. I mean, this feels like it's in line with a lot of predictions, right? That regardless of what you're feeling about this end of year, that 2026 is still going to be kind of an up. I shouldn't say up only, but an uptrend year. So nothing from me additionally on this. This feels in line with other predictions.
And we'll talk more about the 2026 bull case a bit later on with the BlackRock report. I want to dig into that in more depth, but a couple other rapid fire headlines. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink saying that sovereign funds are buying Bitcoin. They bought in the 120s, they bought at 100, and they bought the dip at 80. Watch our guru.
I'm not getting any audio on it, Tyler.
Sad. Basically, what Larry is saying is number of sovereign funds, they're buying the 120s, they're buying at 100, they're also buying at 80. And he closes the clip saying this is not a trade for them. So this is a buy and accumulate.
He's been yelling this all year, all year long. Price, irregardless of price. And if you were able to just zoom out enough, he's back at it, saying, hey, they're going to be buying.
We don't have any bullish KOLs left on crypto Twitter, but at least we have Larry Fink, who is still bullish. One of those reasons, perhaps rate cuts. So the rate cuts have spiked. And I thought MYRIAD kind of led the way on this one. MYRIAD was at 93% for December rate cut. Again, less than a week away now. Polymarket matched it 93%. So this looks like it's a pretty much foregone conclusion at this point. One piece that surprised me was I was looking at the ETF board and inflows this morning, and we finally got those BlackRock IBIT numbers from Vanguard's first day. It's paltry, a paltry 42.2 million in net inflows on a day where they saw 5 billion in total volume. So I guess a lot of folks were selling, I guess, into the Vanguard opening day. So I'll be honest, I'm a bit underwhelmed when I see this figure. I was expecting more. We're still at net inflows. So we had a 5-day green streak going. Yesterday was slightly red, 14.9 million in net outflows. But I think I'm surprised that IBIT wasn't higher.
Well, it takes a few days, right, for trades to settle after folks selling what's already in their Vanguard accounts. Right.
So maybe we'll see the spike
right
in the next few days. I still do think that is an important indicator.
Yeah.
I will say, like, if we don't see a noticeable spike in IBIT in the next, I'm not saying hyper local today, tomorrow. If we don't see it in December, I guess we overblew the Vanguard headline then. Or else, again, there's just matching sellers for every Vanguard buyer that's out there.
Well, are people actually gaining? I mean, I don't know logistically what it actually looks like.
Sure.
Right? Do people have the access now to those?
It was said to have gone live on Tuesday. I'm no longer a Vanguard customer, so I can't provide a firsthand account.
Yeah. mean, I'm not either. So
yeah, we'll look into it. But again, a little surprising. Actually, I haven't checked on ETH. How are the ETH ETFs doing? Oh, pretty big day. 140 million net inflows. So they are on a very nice inflow streak here. Again, in line with the institutions are buying ETH here. Let's check in on synthetics. Let's see, how is the leaderboard doing? Lupify, wow, back up top. He's at 215K. So again, everyone starts with the $50,000 balance. This is fake money. You can do whatever you want. He's made 138 trades, 50 million in volume. So he's been hyper traded. This thing's been live for 2.5 days, but he's doing something right.
138 trades. I don't know if I made 138 trades in the last 6 months.
It's the thing about perps, though, especially if you have tight stop losses, right? It's easy to rack these up. Your boy, Tyler D, I was briefly in the top 20 yesterday. Let's try to find me. Oh, no. Okay, I'm 51st, only up 27.75. I was up about 25K at peak last night, largely due to the Solana long, the 50X that you told me to put on yesterday. So it's carrying me right now. I'm up 7K on that. My Bitcoin long down 750, not bad. I think my lesson here again is like I'm more of the mindset of leaving these trades on, and I'm still bullish on Bitcoin SOL going up over the next few weeks. So in my head, I just want to leave these on. But the reality is, if I close those up 25K last night, go flat, and I wake up and put them back on now, I'm much higher on the leaderboard.
What's your liquidation for SOL?
131 and climbing.
Yeah. I feel okay there.
Yeah, I do too.
I still think, I mean, again, I'm not a trader. I'm not a macro expert either, but I'm still feeling a little bulled up anecdotally just on the breakpoint stuff. Like we're going to get some headlines that give you that short-term flash.
It was actually a brutal day to be in the SOL long because it was just incredibly flat. Like, look at this. Like, it really hasn't done anything other than, I mean, it's basically flat since November 26th. We had the sell-off and then the BART rebound, and it's basically just been a horizontal line. So maybe SOL is not the trade. We'll see. Climbing right now as we speak. Maybe some people are jumping in with us, Logie. Up 8,400 on the SOL long. Bitcoin is flash green as well. Looks like we're pumping. Perhaps front running the 1030 reversal. I was in a few other trades. Oh gosh, this was an egg all over my face. So I was long Fartcoin, and it hadn't really been doing anything, and it looked like some tokens were selling off. So I took it off. Basically flat. I was in at 33 cents. It's up 10%. So I think I was probably like 20x levered. So that would have been a nice gain.
Yeah,
so
those are the moves you need, man.
I know you got to catch it. This is what's like longing Bitcoin. Like I'm never going to win with that being my primary trade. Like you got to go further out and you got to catch these 10 to 20% moves. I had it. I didn't have the conviction. I exited. Sad story. And then Zeke, I was in briefly as well. Sold for a brief loss. I didn't really love the price action. This is still, I think, perhaps a make it or break it trade. I'm still monitoring. I want to see this 300, 310 level hold. And if it does, and if we can maybe, I think the key is do we break 360, 370? And if so, I could see some folks piling back into this one. So watching these ones closely. Other than that, I'm going to have to dig in, spend some more time really thinking through what the highest upside plays are. I mean, it was Fartcoin and I was in it and just didn't hold. So
you know what I did yesterday?
What'd you do?
Unrelated to this, you had shared earlier this week about testing out Infinex. So I messaged you last night. I was messing around on the platform. I just transferred in like a tiny amount to throw on a trade just to see what it was like. I longed pump. I longed it and then I X'd out. I don't even know what I think I was in at, what is it, 0.0003 or something like that. So I might be up a little bit.
I don't think you got in at 0.003, my friend. I think you got in probably a little higher than that.
Okay, maybe a little bit higher than that. I'm probably flat, it looks like, maybe a little down.
It's probably flat. You could be up maybe a touch.
Yeah.
Pump's been tough too. Pump's just been flat.
To me, this was another one of those. I'm going I want to be Solana aligned.
Leverage Solana. I get it.
Yeah.
The thing about pump though is if you get the right tailwinds and you catch like a nice buyback candle, like you could get to 10%. Like it's still one of the bigger movers out there. But it's been a fun competition. I'll remind folks we're partnering with them, and anyone can get in. So you think you can beat me, Faro, Commando? If you think you can beat Loopify, KBM, there's still plenty of time left in the competition. It's just 10K buy-in, and you can jump in. Some big prizes. Let's see how many folks are in this now. Okay, some folks are adding. So we're up to 227 folks. So some folks are jumping in here. What are the prizes again? Yeah, 200K up top, 100K second and third, 50K fourth and fifth. So
man, 50 is a good spot to be, Tyler. You're totally fine right now, man.
Yeah, I'm in an all right shape for perhaps a top 5.
Slow and steady wins the race.
You don't want to blow up. I think I don't like just being totally flat. Like I need to get in and get the muscle memory going a little bit and start getting some reps in. Get out on the field, start warming up a little bit before the final week. We make a big push. Again, it was tough missing that big leg up on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday night? Like that could have been the biggest move we see for the week. Right. So you really got to catch those trades. I think a lot of folks were off sides. The folks who caught it, they're at the top of the leaderboard. So we'll continue to revisit this. Now we're going to zoom out. We were hyper zoomed in on daily 50x perp trades. Now we're going to step all the way back and talk about macro 2026. So Logan, you wrote this up for Decrypt. BlackRock published their 2026 global outlook report. Quite a bit to go through. And I do want to go through this in some depth here, but I think TLDR from my perspective, and I want to hear from you as well on the headlines. Basically, their view, a few mega forces are driving the global economy right now. Primarily AI. The report has several pages on AI. They throw crypto, digital finance, stablecoins in as one of those mega forces. They're talking about private credit, a handful of others as well. But I think what stuck out to me was they're hitting you over the head that this is not the year to diversify. Diversification is a bet itself and a bad one in their view. And they think you need to be selective and bet on the winners. And then they go through 18 pages of saying who they think the winners will be. Curious for your takeaways.
Yeah, I really like this report because I feel like it has something for everyone, Tyler. You mentioned the active investing thing. That's front and center in this report. In the summary is that the fact that they want to be active picking winners. And you're right, passive is a choice. And then also too, just like if you want to get into the very, very specifics about what they're long, what they're short, they're providing that blueprint for you. I just thought this was really comprehensive, and any type of trader could pull something from this. I think the themes, of course, make sense. AI is driving everything. We already know that. This does put some context behind it. If you're a little uncertain about what specifically regarding the AI trade is driving things. They talk about energy constraints. They talk about defense fragmentation, things like that in here that are some of these mega forces driving things. The biggest takeaway, though, for me, it's just maybe the simplest one, is risk on. They're still long U.S. equities with the AI theme in particular, pro risk moving forward. Of course, a little bit of confirmation bias. We want to hear those things as we are asset owners and enjoyers. But that was the biggest takeaway for me, is you don't see any shying away from risk here, which is, of course, in my opinion, good for crypto. They don't specifically spell out Bitcoin's going up. You're not going to read that here. But they do talk about one of the mega forces being the future of finance, and the entire section is about stablecoin growth, more or less. And yeah, just the further entrenchment. I think I said that word 100 times on the show probably throughout the year, but I mean, that is it. And it's spelled out here pretty clearly.
Yeah, let's go through. We can jump to the crypto page real quick. So the future of finance evolving quickly. There's not a huge, I don't know, there's a whole lot of specific takeaways from this, and you kind of went through it, right? They're just saying stablecoins are here. Stablecoins are growing rapidly. The Genius Act is being put in place. We got this Clarity Act coming. So there's going to be more of a regulatory framework in the US. They see it as a disruption for payments. They see it as big in emerging markets as well, perhaps as a replacement for currency. And then their closing thoughts: these developments mark a modest but meaningful step towards a tokenized financial system that is evolving rapidly. So BlackRock pounding the table right now on tokenized finance. And they're clearly leaning in, trying to drive it themselves and saying, yes, stablecoins are a part of this as well. So they're not saying go buy Bitcoin, but crypto, digital finance, stablecoins have a seat at the table. And there aren't many forces. Like, this is a mega force in their words, and there aren't very many mega forces listed on here.
Yeah. And so I went in a little bit deeper beyond this document to find, the definition, their definition for megaforce, and more or less it's these like broad thematic things that are truly changing markets in the global economy, both for investors now and in the future. So this isn't, this is like readily available information in alpha, if you want to call it that. This is what they're saying. It's impacting things now and into the future of finance being one, and AI just being, of course, the super big one.
A few other themes that kind of stuck out. So they talked a lot about private credit, and basically it's tied into their AI theme that these big AI companies are going to need to continue to borrow. That right now is a time of major CapEx expense, and that revenue is not here yet to catch up, but it will, or at least that's the bet. But because of that they're seeing some rising debt. They talk about private credit, and again, this is above my area of expertise. But they're also saying that you should expect more stress in the private credit market. They also said multiple times throughout this that the leverage that the AI companies are requiring to build out in such rapid speed is going to create vulnerabilities in the financial system. So they kind of tell us, like, it's going to be a rocky ride. Like, we're risk on, but be prepared for some bumps.
Yeah.
In the road.
I like that in reference to the AI build, there's a few other things that stuck out to me. One is it's difficult for, at least for myself, to kind of go back to the telecom bubble stuff from 2000. Like, it just wasn't on my radar. I was like 6, 7 years old, right? So I had no clue any of the surrounding factors or anything like that. It talks about the fact that many people are speculating we're reaching bubble standpoint, and it kind of, at least my interpretation of this is, it kind of says that, like, we're not there yet, and bubbles are really only, like, you're only seeing them in hindsight anyway. So, like, we're gonna keep pushing. Things are gonna keep going. If and when we're in a bubble, if that happens to be right now, we'll know in a year or two or something like that. So that was interesting to me, because it matches. If you're a Cathie Wood fan, she said 2 weeks ago the fact that, like, this is not the same as the telecom stuff. I know a lot of people want to put those two things together, like get ready, the Michael Burry stuff, like get ready for a bubble and a collapse, but we're not there yet. The other part that stuck out is just like how unprecedented this is in their eyes as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about the fact that, like, this is moving so fast, faster than nearly any technological transformation ever. And as you noted, the leverage required is just absurd.
Yeah, I think pages 4 through 7 cover that pretty substantially. And here you see how rapid of a transformation it is. So they're trying to map out and paint that picture. And then they're talking about, historically, U.S. GDP grows at 1.9%.
Right.
They mentioned specifically that no prior invention, steam engine, cars, trying to think what else they name drop here. I can't find the specific sentence, but basically no prior invention has ever gotten us past 1.9%. Yeah, steam, electricity, the digital revolution, nothing enough to break out of 2%, but AI could conceivably do it.
This time it's different.
And the caveat, right? They say basically, like, things have to go right. And they're not even saying it's a certainty. They're saying it is conceivable. But this is how you kind of grow your way out of the debt, right? Which is another theme in this. And I don't think we need to go through that today. It's been thematic over all of our conversations. It's the whole debasement trade foundation is mounting debt. But this is how you could perhaps outpace it. which I thought that was interesting. And again, the micro is macro. So what their takeaway here is you got to be invested in the big players who are winning. Like that is the macro trend, is the few companies that are driving this all forward and the few assets. And if you miss those or you're over diversified, you're missing the trade effectively. They even have a whole slide on it called the diversification mirage, which is specifically interesting to me because on prior underexposed episodes, I've kind of went down this route myself, where I kind of found myself not wanting to be in the S&P 500, but the Mag 7. So it's similar mindset of you don't want the field. The field might not perform that well. Like it really could be a total K-shaped economy in 2026 where the biggest winners take all the gains.
Yeah. What's that? Losers average into losers. That's a little bit of my feel here, right? Winners win. Winners win. And the winning.
Historically, though, like the index has been a big win.
Of course.
Right. So like this is a bit of a pivot, I'd say. I guess I don't know. I haven't studied all the prior year BlackRock reports to know their talking points year over year. But thought this was all very interesting. You can see kind of a summary as a part of this. They're not short treasuries, but they're underweight. So they're effectively overweight U.S. equities. They've talked through here which ones they are, and they're underweight U.S. treasuries.
Overweight Japan.
Strong nominal GDP, healthy corporate capex, and governance reforms all support equities. All right. So
this stuff's above my pay grade, but I thought this was awesome. I really do think there's something for everyone in this. If you're a passive investor, despite the conclusion perhaps that they're trying to get you to draw about active investing may be better, just the thematic stuff here I think is really helpful to understand.
Thank you for putting this on our radar. I encourage folks who are interested in learning more, just go read through it. It's 18 pages. You can digest it in 15, 20 minutes. I don't know if asking the robots to summarize it for you is really going to be as impactful, but you can at least get the high level takeaways, or just go read Logan's article over on Decrypt. So thanks again for putting that on our radar. Let's keep running through some of these other stories. So the other person on stage with Larry Fink was Brian Armstrong at the Dealbook Summit. And he went out and said, I don't know if this is necessarily huge news, but basically said that multiple large banks are running crypto pilots for stablecoins, for custody. I think one other function as well. So just more reinforcement. I find it interesting because I've actually painted that as part of a bear case for Coinbase, that TradFi, JP Morgans of the world getting into crypto custody, but they are not viewing it that way. I think that's pretty clear. So maybe they're selling the pipes or the picks and shovels, so to speak, to enable that to happen. So maybe this is not a part of the coin bear case. Let's take a look at how coin is doing. Even on the day, not a huge surprise. Fairly flat over the 5-day period. Up 8% on the year still. So that's not a terrible outcome when you compare it to Bitcoin. So what's Bitcoin on the year now? Down 1%. So CoinStock continues to outpace. Not sure if we have a whole lot to unpack from that story, other than just the fact that, the big players are here. They're coming. They're building with Coinbase. And you can expect that trend to continue. An interesting clip. I don't know if I have the link for this one. I'll try to find it here. The CZ Peter Schiff gold Bitcoin debate happened. Here I've got one, and it seems like someone on CZ's side handed Peter Schiff a gold bar, and tricked him into believing it was 100% real. So just kind of showcasing that.
That's so good.
How do you know this asset's even real? Right. I think the other interesting one, have you been seeing all these headlines about all the new gold reserves that are being found? Like it is quite literally an inflationary asset. Like just in the past few weeks, I've seen some headlines around some huge stockpiles, and I haven't dug into them, so maybe they're a little bit overblown for what they are. But a little bit of gold FUD for those who are touting digital gold as the premier asset. So I thought that was kind of fun to see. This would have been an interesting debate. Would love to catch the TLDR and even the outcome of who won this one. Continuing to push through Solana Mobile. This is another one that you put on my radar. Big announcement of them yesterday. We're getting a token.
Yeah.
The SKR token. You and I believe, are both phone owners.
Saga owners.
Don't tell me the Saga owners are going to get missed in this, Logan.
Well, I don't know. I need to do some asking. I spoke with the head of Solana Mobile, Emmett Hoyler, who actually is a fellow Pitt alum, hail to Pitt. I spoke with him in May, maybe or earlier this year, when they initially announced the token, right? So we knew the token was coming at some point. Pre-orders for the device had started, I think, in 2023, and shipments began earlier this year as well. But yesterday, the announcement was that the token is coming in January 2026. The reason I need to ask is when I had previously spoke with him, more or less, he made it seem, it is not explicitly stated that Saga owners, the original device, would receive a token. But more or less, it seemed that any Solana mobile ecosystem participant, which in my opinion includes Solana Saga users, would ultimately be eligible for some sort of reward. So I'm not entirely sure, but I believe probably. The one note there is, I don't know if you saw this headline from a couple months ago, is they're no longer supporting the Solana Saga.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I wrote about that maybe at the end of October. It was kind of a quiet. There was just like a Discord announcement. There was like a help article put up on the support thing. I mean, this is common in device manufacturing and stuff, right? You sunset support for devices after X amount of time. You keep making new ones, right? Apple does it, I think, every 5 to 7 years is the support window for your device. Once you're outside that, like, you can't call Apple and be like, hey, this device doesn't work. They're not supporting it anymore, outside of like really basic stuff, I think. But that happened earlier this year, which is why I'm a little muddied on exactly where the Saga sits in this. Nevertheless.
Not great, Logie. Sometimes being too early is being wrong.
Yeah. Nevertheless, there is a seeker token, SKR. This is going to be for the Solana mobile ecosystem. I asked Emmett when I spoke with him in May about why another token, and they wanted something that stood specifically for this ecosystem to help folks in the mobile world here, which they're trying to be a player in the mobile world. Right. They wanted to have something that better aligned with just that kind of mobile build. The developers for dApps in the Solana mobile ecosystem, hardware manufacturers for Solana mobile ecosystem, all that stuff. They just want to have something that better aligned instead of just using Solana, right? Which of course is a much, much bigger beast at this time. So yeah,
I'm very interested for how the market's going to value this one. And the Seeker, that they laid out their flywheel here across dApp developers, Guardians users, their manufacturers, some interesting tokenomics. Which I'll get to in a second. But they also came out and talked about token inflation. So what their goal is to get token inflation down to 2% by year 6. So try to get tokens out kind of as fast as you can. Like I don't know if that's super fast. Like it's kind of fast. It's a new trend. I'm very curious to see like the next major protocol who's just going to drop them all. Right. Like
can you imagine us talking about the Seeker token in 2032? I can't.
Will the Seeker phone even be supported?
Seeker 2 maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Seeker 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure. The original probably not. That would fit that window. But
for those in the eco, just quick, 30% of the tokens are for airdrops. So you should expect to get something, but you said what, 150,000 phones?
150,000 pre-orders. That was as of, I believe, August. So it might be around that number though.
Yeah. So you're probably not going to get a massive windfall, but maybe a little something. Quick anecdote. This just reminds me how I bought the Pico top of the Saga market. I paid like $3,500 on eBay for an unopened Saga. If folks don't remember, this is because they had the bonk tokens on the phone. The bonk alone was worth like a couple thousand, I think, at that point in time. More if you held it. Mm-hmm. You also got the NFT that totally was rocking.
The Saga monkeys.
Yeah, and we thought we were gonna get all of these airdrops, and the airdrop stopped the day I bought that phone for $3,500. I don't think I recouped my investment. I probably got half of it back.
Yeah, I did well. I was one of the final like actual. I got the actual from Solana Mobile, not aftermarket stuff. You know what? Small anecdote, Tyler. I don't know if I ever told you this. The Solana saga saved Marka and I tremendously earlier this year. She was unfortunately the victim of a pickpocketing in Peru when we were in Cusco. But I had brought my Solana Saga phone as a backup in case anything happened to mine, and it got us through the rest of the trip. So kudos to
Solana. It is nice to have a backup.
It worked totally fine.
Shout out to Solana Mobile. It worked in a time of crisis. There's your ad. Maybe you can get some extra tokens as a part of their growth fund. Well, let's keep going through the headlines. We're going to wrap up a little earlier today. XCopy bubbles. Were you following this? We had a few buddies in some chats who were buying these things on secondary. I don't know if I actually found the correct secondary link for these, but if folks don't know, Art Basel is happening right now. Typically bigger for the digital art crowd, and it looks like digital art has made quite a big splash. People had a nice event there yesterday. It looks like I think the broader crypto events are a bit quieter down there this year, but art is still loud. And XCopy did his part, dropped the stealth mint bubbles. It's on Shape, the L2 blockchain. Actually, I hadn't heard about Shape in quite some time. So it's back on my radar. Free to mint. I think you had to be on a list to be able to mint, capped at 10 million supply. We don't know how many will be minted, but what's fun about these is the bubbles will start to burst. So if you own a bubble, it can burst in your wallet and effectively become worthless. And then in 2035, 10 years from now, there will be one final bubble, the last bubble standing. And we believe it's going to get some kind of a prize. Yesterday, I think they were trading at like $60.
No,
I think they're cheaper than that now.
I thought that must have been like right off the rip. I thought the folks in the chat that we're in were saying 20 to 30 cents a bubble.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misread that. Let me
I don't know. I don't know if there's a link in this chat or not.
Is it this? It's got to be this, right? All right. So these things are selling. All right, they're selling for anywhere. Some of these are bad. Some are selling for $1. Some are selling for 50 cents. 289. So people are getting different prices. All right, so they're selling for a couple bucks. At 10 million. Okay, yeah, maybe it was 60 cents, not $60. Was the number I got yesterday. Which puts the value, the market cap at 6 million. Which would be quite the prize in 10 years. Do you have any bubbles, Logie? Any thoughts or reactions to this one?
I was pretty busy yesterday. I actually didn't go, but I'm a Shape user. Remember, we owned them. I believe you did too. A meme coin on Shape. Remember that O token?
I don't think I tailed you on that one.
Okay. Well, I think I actually made some money on that. So I'm a Shape user. I have not even checked yet to see if I'm on an allow list or not. I love stuff like this, though. I mean, it seems super silly. We're gonna forget about it for probably. Well, in a couple days, we'll forget about it. We'll probably forget about it for the better part of the next decade until we approach, the final bubble. But I love stuff like this. I'm all for it.
Spend $100, get 100 raffle tickets, come back in 2035, and maybe you're the winner.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's different.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Kudos to XCopy for trying to do stuff and innovate, and I'm all for that.
Always pushing forward. You know who else is pushing forward? The team over at TokenWorks. And so on Tuesday, they opened up their software to anyone, and we've got a marquee. Is that a fair term?
I think it's fair
to describe the Nakamigos. So the Nakamigos came out. They launched the Meegster. I don't love how they picked that.
Terrible.
It's too close to Meebster. I don't like it, especially with Meebster being one of the first 5. And Sergito is a homie. So I don't love the ticker they picked. I think Naka strategy would have been better.
Does it have to have the STR?
Yes.
It has to?
I don't know that for sure, but if it doesn't have STR, no, I'm not buying it.
Because, I don't know. Anything else, Amigos, they could have done anything different. Meegster? That's so bad.
Yeah, not the best naming, I will say. It's at 600K. Not amazing. Recursive, the token that had done well the day before, is now back at 450. So not a whole lot of sustained success in this ecosystem right now. But Punkster does seem to be the one gaining the primary fruits of this. So they're not quite at peak, but kind of hanging out at local high here. I think I've got a zoomed out version of this. Let me find it. Yeah, so hanging out at 0.063, 60 million or so. Looks like it's trying to curl up off a local bottom. These daily launches are helping because they're sending tokens back and they're operating the flywheel. Some punks actually sold yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw that. Not floor punks, unfortunately. So the cheapest punkster is still about 12 off the floor. But if you look at what actually moved yesterday, it was a nice set. Just aesthetic punks that people seem to want to buy to collect and not to flip was MYRIAD. There was about 6 or 7. The website's not there. It is. So yeah, these 6, nice little stretch. We haven't had a stretch like that in a while. It seems.
I kind of like that clown nose. I'm not a huge clown nose fan, but I sort of like that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, you know who it is? Jeeps.
Yeah,
Jeeps, clown nose guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the homie.
Back to the Punkster. Say what you will about the price action. Of course, a lot of people that bought during the FOMO phase did not do well, but this has been a success. I mean, you can't characterize it any other way, can you? I don't think so. So kudos to Renatic. This is awesome. I was in and out at one point of this. I don't own any right now. I'm not like super eager to jump back in or anything, but still kind of loosely following, mainly through you, but loosely following because I'm all for experimenting.
I feel like we do this to ourselves. We get so hyped on these new projects
every time.
We send it from what was a somewhat reasonable reasonable in quotes, right? Mm-hmm. $5 to $10 million level. We send it to $300 million in 2 weeks. And of course that was too expensive in hindsight. We crash all the way back down. Everyone hates it. Now it's at 60 million. And guess what? Like if you bought it at 10 to 15 million, where it was very viable, like you're up 3 to 4x. Like had this just slow grinded up to 60 in a straight line versus having this blow off top sell off, the sentiment's probably widely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think part of the stuff we got over our skis. Well, of course, price action alone, but just when it was doing that, people were doing all the stupid MNAV math stuff, right? Which I think is actually is a fair way to maybe assess this token if you wish to do so in that way. But I don't know. It became something that it didn't need to become at that point. Versus like, hey, this is a kind of novel way to, see the interplay of NFT sales and token sales. And I don't know, which is my favorite part about the entire thing the entire time. I mean, if you went back and looked I was actually sitting in this same spot when this had started to run. I said something along the lines of like this being a pump.fun moment or something. If you go back and look at that clip, of course I seem pretty silly at this point because, it's back at 50 after a huge massive blow off top, but I still actually believe that this is opened, a entirely new way to think about token design, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pump from 150 to 300 was this is a launch pad now.
Right.
And throw your MNAV out the window. I still think what's interesting about this is like it's never going to end. It's going to run forever. If and when those punks start selling, this token gets interesting again. So I think you got to monitor for that. And then there's some temporary drivers with the flywheel and these new strategies launching in the interim. So, man, I cut half my position in the past week and a half just to kind of do some portfolio management and cleanup. Kind of have some FOMO. Might have to get
Well, that was not my intention, but
you get me up on punk strategy.
I'm rooting for it. but I have no exposure at this point.
It's not a good trade from an MNAV perspective. Let's be very clear about that. They held 36 punks worth about $3.6 million. So it is still trading at 17x.
Not to derail too much, because I only have a couple minutes before I've got to run to an eye doctor's appointment. But speaking of MNAV and the whole PE ratio stuff, did you see the debate between Santiago and one of the Dragonfly guys on Threat Guys thing last night? I was just reading some of the recap tweets from Counterparty about L1s being way too expensive. Whatever. I am not smart enough to belong in that conversation. I just thought it was really interesting that we're finally, maybe not finally, but looking to bring in some of like the traditional financial metrics and analysis into crypto, where it's just never played. Never.
Yeah. I saw the headlines on that. It's tricky, right? I think that makes more sense at like an app token. I think when you're trying to do it for Ethereum, like it's a little, I don't think it holds up. I mean, it's been an evergreen debate.
Yeah, it is.
It's been louder when the prices are down.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a chance to dig into that, but I saw basically Santiago saying ETH makes $1 billion, it's valued at 360 billion, so it's trading at 360x. Seems like an oversimplification.
Yeah.
Well, look, a good show. I think we went through all the items on my list. It was a bit of a slower day. We will have Farouk back tomorrow, I believe. So excited to catch up with him, talk Myriad pools, catch up on synthetics. I don't think he's made a trade yet, which worked for him last time. I don't know if it's going to work out this time. So Farouk, going to have to get you into a trade. Maybe he'll do that live on the show tomorrow. I want to thank all of our listeners. As always, Logan, I want to thank you for joining us this week and filling in. This has been great. Love catching up with you. I want to thank our partners as well. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern for another episode of FOMO Hour. Till then, go have a beautiful day.